referrals. We don't want all referrals to go to Kolebu or to Komfanoche. If we have the specialists and the equipment in the region, a lot of the referrals can go directly to that regional hospital. And I think that it's something we must look at. Education, I've already talked of a university. And not only a university, there must be other tertiary institutions where there are no secondary schools. We must put secondary schools there. And then where schools are substandard at the basic level, schools under trees, we must replace them with adequate school infrastructure. And then road network must be good to make the region accessible so that agricultural products can be transported easily both in and out. Passengers can move easily both in and out. We believe that this is what the basic infrastructure for a region should be. So that's our policy, that in all these areas we will look and push development so that education, the level of development makes it worthwhile that we call this the Oti region. Of course, the region is named over the famous river Oti, and while Oti is a blessing to the region, it's also a stumbling block in terms of access. It divides the region into two halves, the northern part and the southern part. There have always been an intention to bridge the Oti. We've bridged it at one side. That was during the administration of President Rawlings when he did the Dambai, the Damanko bridge over the Oti, and so that is one area. In the meantime, the alignment for the Eastern Corridor Road goes over that particular bridge. But then, in our time too, we also did the road from Pandai that comes through to Burai, and the intention is to let it come through Dambai and then through Raura down, so that then we have alternative routes for passengers and agricultural products that are coming down. But like Nana said, the stumbling block is the bridge over the Oti at Dambai. Designs have been done. I have seen designs before to bridge it, and the site, the alignment might not be the same because they normally look for a narrower crossing point instead of a wider crossing point. But I've seen some designs that were meant to do that bridge. And so it's something that we'll pursue, as Nana has said, under what we call the Big Push program. The Big Push program is meant to mobilize resources to invest in certain transformative development projects that will have a big impact on Ghana's movement forward in terms of industrialization and food production and all that. And part of it is providing key critical bridges. And we've identified some of them. And one is this bridge over the Oti. Another is the bridge over when you go through Agogo that crosses into the Afram Plains. Because the Afram Plains is also a big agricultural zone, and it needs a bridge so that we can easily transport goods and services back and forth. Another is the bridge that goes through Daboya and links with Tolong to Tamale. That one is strategic because anytime there is a problem of maintenance on any of the two bridges, Yape and Bupe, it cuts off traffic, and our transit trade partners, the landlocked countries and the whole of the north will be cut off anytime any of that happens. It means that trucks will have to go through Yeji and cross the Pontoon at Makango to be able to access the south. There won't be any alternate routes that can be used, and so that Daboya bridge is also very important. Then I will notice that one of the most critical things that would catapult our nation's development is not only production of food and agriculture, it is also agribusiness. Because the farmers can produce the food. If we are not taking the food and adding value to it, then a lot of time the food goes to waste. There are times when we produce a lot of tomatoes, we don't know what to do with it. A lot of the tomatoes gets waste. We produce a lot of maize, we don't know what to do with it. One of the areas I went to, they have maize from the last season and the price is so low, 300 cedis, that they are making a loss selling it. And yet we could buy that maize off the farmers at an even better price and produce, add value to the maize in terms of grits, corn flour, so many things that we can do. And so the next NDC government is going to focus on agri processing and agribusiness. While we help the farmers to produce more, we will also put in the capacity to buy the crops of the farmers and process those crops. You go to a rural area, they produce a lot of rice, and yet the rice mill standing there is not working. And so why is it not working? We must put in a more efficient rice milling plant that uses less electricity, lowers the cost of production, and we must give them the capital to be able to buy the rice of the farmers. There should be a credit scheme for that company, that any rice any farmer produces, they can buy it and they can mill it. I know this because my father, was a rice farmer and owned a rice mill himself. He was the biggest producer of finished rice in this country and was even exporting rice to Burkina Faso. But rice is just one component. There's ginger. There's a lot of ginger production in Oti. We must have processing plants to produce ginger powder, ginger oil. I don't believe in one district, one factory, one district, one factory. I believe in taking the whole value chain of agricultural products. So we'll take Oti, what are the people doing here, what are those doing here, what are those doing here, and we'll create what we call an agro-processing industrial zone. And we'll put the factories there so that they buy the crops of all the farmers, process it there. Our children will get employment in those factories, and we'll be able to export the produce, or if it's for local consumption, we consume them locally. So agro-industrial parks in every region, for instance, Brong-Ahafo, if you have an agro-industrial park, by all means you must have cashew processing there because they are the biggest producers of cashew in this country. Right now, Indians come and buy the cashew, take it to India, go and process it, and export it to UK and to America, and they write produce of India. Meanwhile, the cashew nut itself comes from Ghana. So why can't we process that ourselves and also export it? So these are the ideas that we have. I believe that it's only by implementing that kind of strategy that we can provide enough employment for our young people and also stop the importation of things that we have a comparative advantage to produce. There's no reason why we're importing the kind of amount of rice that we're importing. There's no reason why we're importing the amount of chicken that we are importing. At least chicken, our parents knew how to grow chicken. And Christmas, they used to slaughter the chickens for us to eat. We can be able to produce enough to feed ourselves. And like I said already, regional hospital is important. It's in our policy. And university, a public university for the new regions is also in our policy. And so I'll leave it here for the meantime. We'll explore the issue of the pontoons in the meantime. The two pontoons that we brought when we closed the Adomi Bridge, after we finished, we brought one of them here to Dambai. At the time, your pontoon was broken down, and so we brought a new one here. And then the other one, we gave it to Pando Toko, that crossing between Pando Toko and Afram Plains. And then the other one we sent to Krachi, to Okajakrom. Is it Okajakrom? Or say Kojokrom? Kwame Danso, to Sene East, that crossing. And so we sent new pontoons there. But since then, no new pontoons have been ordered, and some have broken down since then. So we'll look at the overall state of it. If there are some that we can repair quickly, we will repair them. Some of them need just new engines and all that. We can replace the engines. And then, like Nana said, we can increase the number of boat crossings by adding additional ferries to the crossing. In the meantime, while we look at the possibility of bridging the place. We also, I think for the meantime, these are the comments that I'll make. I know that Nananum might raise a few issues, and so if it's necessary for me to come back and make some comments on them, I'll do that. So I'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much.
We appreciate your input, Your Excellency. On our program, we have some brief observations or comments from Nananum, and I think because of time, we would like to take about 2, 3, or 2 of them, yes, from Nana President. So that the former president will also give his remarks on those. So, Nananum, the floor is open. Okay.
Yeah. Your Excellency, I want to make a recommendation. For those of us living by the lake, it seems a little odd that in spite of all our efforts to develop agriculture, planting for food and jobs and so on and so forth, we have this mighty lake right from Buipe and beyond, flowing just aimlessly into the ocean, flooding people's houses and so on. Not a single irrigation, commercial irrigation farm on this lake. It looks odd. If we can concentrate on irrigation along the water lake, I'm sure it will aid our agricultural agenda, which we all want to, produce more to feed our own people. So I'm just pleading that you also note this, so that commercial irrigation farms should be properly looked at during your administration, so that this dry season farming can help the youth. Because if you go to China, you see what they do with Yellow River, which is not even 1/10 of what we have here. So I will humbly recommend that for your attention next time you come, so that you look at irrigation farming, not one what. We want direct tapping from the lake onto the farms. You can develop these farms along the stretch. That is my idea.
Nana President, His Excellency, the former President, John Mahama, I've been hearing of some technical term, 24-hour economy. What economy have we used? What our economy have you used? And what our economy are we using now? Before we are now looking for 24-hour economy. That's what I want to understand. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much. Nana, I thank you very much for your elucidation on the issue of irrigation. As a farmer myself, I can assure you that it is an issue that is very dear to my heart. During our time in office, we expanded in a very large way the number of irrigation schemes that we established. I do believe that the strategy did not yield the fruit that we deserved because of some obstacles. Right now we have irrigated fields. For instance, if you go to Yape, there's 300 acres of irrigated field with machines and everything. But the pumps rely on electric power. and the electric tariff is so high that if farmers plant that field and water, the cost of electricity will be more than the cost of food they produce. And so one of the suggestions we're coming with is a preferential tariff for irrigation schemes. That will be lower than the normal tariff. So where we've already put machines that run on electric power, we will propose that the PURC give a preferred tariff for irrigation and agricultural activity. That is what would boost the use of irrigation, because we come and clear fields next to the water and we put electric pumps. The high cost of electricity discourages the cost of pumping the water, makes it so expensive that it discourages commercial agriculture. The other option, which is now very viable and was not available at the time, is that solar power has become so low and continues to go down. And now there are solar water pumps that are almost as efficient as electric water pumps. And so if we have an opportunity again, we're going to use solar power more for irrigation purposes. And that would work for places like yours. But there are also standalone irrigation schemes. If we clear an area for young people and we give them small water pumps, they'll be able to pump the water themselves into their fields. I saw that in the irrigation project we did at Tamni in the Garu area. I visited there recently, and you should go and see what they're doing. They're growing carrots, tomatoes, onions, and everything. And all they're using is a small Thomas water pump. And so each person has just about an acre. And all through the year, as they are harvesting, they're planting again. As they are harvesting, they're planting again. And they're loading the carrots and onions and tomatoes in trucks and sending them to Bolga or down to the south to the market. And so we can have those small irrigation schemes using those small water pumps, or if it is a big irrigation scheme that is to be to cover several tens of hectares and to cover several farmers, then if we're using electric motor pumps, we must reduce the price of electricity for that purpose. And so it will all be explained in our manifesto when it comes out, and I'm sure that you'd find it satisfactory. 24-hour economy is not a new thing. And so I keep telling people that it's not like I slept and I dreamt about 24-hour economy. It exists and is being implemented in many cities across the world. Ghana will not be the first to implement it. So when people say they don't understand it, it's not like it's a new concept. It's something that exists and it's anything that allows businesses to employ more than one shift working time. The current shift working time is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then they close. But it is possible for them to add another shift or even a third shift. You can do 2 shifts or 3 shifts. And that is what we refer to as a 24-hour economy. But you need to give producers the incentive to do it. Because if there's no safety and security, and in the night armed robbers come and attack them, who would want to work in the night? Nobody. If there's not efficient transport, and so your workers can't get to work safely and efficiently, who wants to go to work in the night? If the cost of power is expensive, and already you are struggling with 1 8-hour shift, who would want to add another 8-hour shift and do 16 hours and use more electricity? So these are things that we need to look at. Would the 24-hour economy companies pay the same level of tax as the companies that work 8 hours? No. We will give them a tax break. We will let them pay lower taxes so that will reduce their cost of production and enable them to take on more workers. And so if we do that, a lot of our young people who are sitting will also get jobs. It will be, for instance, Rara Rice Factory. If it's working 3 shifts, instead of taking the about 50 people it used to employ, it will increase the number of people employed to 150. And so 100 more young people will get work at the Rara Rice Factory. And that is just one example. Take all the other businesses dotted across the country. It will lead to an increase in employment. You need to provide them with safety. It means you must take more police officers. You must take more military officers to make sure that the environment is safe. and that's direct employment. We will recruit more of our young people to become police officers. They won't sleep. Some will work in the daytime. In the night, other police officers will be on night duty, making sure that our environment is safe for work to be able to go on. We believe that that would be an easy way to increase the vacancies for employment generation while we add on more avenues. It doesn't mean that that's the only strategy for employment, but also if we establish industrial zones, we put in new factories there to do agro-processing, value addition and all that, it will also create jobs for our people. And so those are some of the ideas that we have. But we have a team working on the policy itself, because we don't want to come to office before we now say we're going to work on the policy. So as I speak, we have a team of experts who are working on the 24-hour economic policy, and we'll outdo it before we come into government. And when we come into government, we'll hit the ground running with it. As I said, it's not going to be compulsory. If you want to join, you join. But we'll give such incentives that everybody will want to be part of it, so that we can create more employment for our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for such an elaborate delivery of your agenda. And thank you, Nananum. At this point on our program, we would like to have His Excellency and Nananum have a group photograph before we take the vote of thanks. Okay. Okay. So, Adik Janja, I would like to give the microphone to Okoji Amai Siedu Kuram II, the paramount chief of Apesokubi traditional area.
Thank you, Mr. Manu, the acting registrar of the house. Eyanokware ubi ya dia ose nasi ose ayi. His Excellency, the former President of the Republic of Ghana and the flag bearer of the NDC, Nana President, Vice, High Table, Nananum, all the gurus, the big whips of NDC present, media. Could you please allow me to stand on previous protocols observed? Yebeda obo ade ase se wa maya trankwam ehunu enedai na ode the flag bearer of the NDC asi okorie ntabanso dina babi duhai. To most of us, this is our first time of coming close to His Excellency, and we see it as a blessing. God, we thank you for making this day possible for us. Going forward, we thank the President of the House for accepting this meeting and making it possible for us. Nananum yedamwasi semwaba. Na yempa ebo se dear His Excellency abeka ne de ade atu nanimu se oba na obeye the next President of the Republic of Ghana. O manu remfri utifo. Ye nyina yeda ye ho ase. Mankasa nso me da me ho ase. Yeda mo ase. Thank you.
Thank you very much.